welcome to Romania.
Thank you.
How is your opinion till now about Future Summit?
So far,
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised, I would say.
You know, I told you earlier that maybe one of the main questions right now is how will the future education will look like in your perspective?
Yeah, I think the future of education, mainly talking about higher education, to be honest, but the future of education is something that's really ripe to undergo fundamental change, I would say. And of course, the pandemic has sort of already created this momentum towards much more virtual. But I also want to say that I don't think that we'll completely go all virtual. I think it's going to be hybrid formats that are going to be much more flexible in the way that you access education, in the way that sort of the formats are put together, when and how you access education. It's an old-fashioned way of thinking about both the future of education and the future of work, that you need to do all of your studies before you then work for, let's say, 50 years. Because things changes, right? Tech changes, skills requirements changes all the time.
Yeah, and talking about professions and about future professions, is there any secure or any sure profession in the future? You know, right now there are many professions that are already taken, no longer exist. So people are asking themselves, if I'm doing this right now, will this still be available in the future?
I think when we talk about the future of work and the future of professions, I think there's a few different things that we need to talk about, because yes, you're absolutely right. There's a bunch of professions and a bunch of tasks that simply no longer make sense, because we have new ways of doing it. We have technology that enables new ways of doing it and whatever. But with that said, I think that equally we'll see many more new professions actually emerge. For example, let's say 10 years ago, it didn't make much sense to be a social media professional, right?
True.
Right, and it didn't make much sense to be a drone pilot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and
we're
they
seeing
make so much money right now.
And
or an influencer. What was an influencer like 10 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, maybe you consider yourself an influencer, but you didn't really have the audience, did you?
You're influencing your family.
Yeah, and they're getting annoyed with you. And the way I see it, it's not about not having education or being highly educated or whatnot. It's much more about if you have a job that consists of routine tasks, things that you routinely do, it doesn't matter if it's low-paid routine tasks or high-paid routine tasks. I mean, you can be highly educated lawyer, but if all you do every day is reading through contracts or going through case trials or whatever you want to do, that's pretty routine, isn't it? And those are some of the tasks that AI and other technologies can easily take over. Whereas if your job is composed of much more non-routine tasks, then you're much less likely to be automated away.
What are the newest jobs, let's say? 2022 professions. Let's talk about 2022 professions.
2022 professions. I think, at least at this summit, there's a lot of the metaverse in focus, right?
Exactly.
And I think that brings along a completely new array of sort of both in terms of how to work in the metaverse, but also job tasks that evolves out of the metaverse. What about, I'm just coming up with stuff now, but what about a bridge builder, someone who builds the bridge between the physical world and the virtual world in the metaverse? Or I don't know, just freestyling a little bit here, maybe, a metaverse guide?
Yeah.
Right? Something like that?
Yeah, that would sound science fiction.
I mean, as a futurist, we actually do get a lot of inspiration from science fiction.
Creativity.
Yeah, for sure. And I think back to the whole point around what can be automized away and what can't, the whole thing around creativity and sense-making and curiosity, those more sort of, what can you say, cognitive traits are much more difficult to automize away. And those are sort of the tasks that we want to build the future digital economy around, I would say.